Hey, what's up, guys? Got another new video for you. This is Tune in Sports. This is Bryson and Bennett here. And today is an exciting day. We got our first WWE NXT Weekly show review. We are super excited to be bringing you guys this review.
Yeah.
We've been wanting to get into wrestling and stuff for a while. We weren't sure how we were going to do it, but now we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, we kicked off NXT. Like I said, Bennett especially, but myself included, have not watched NXT in a number of months. I've been kind of keeping up with it. I'll watch an occasional Wrestling with Regret video. I also follow NXT and stuff on Instagram. So, I get a lot of the results and stuff, but I really haven't been watching the show for a number of months. So there was a lot of things going on that I just didn't really know what was going on at times, but still, I'm excited to get into this, and we can start from here. Next week is NXT Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
So we're going to start from here, and that's where our knowing of what's going on in the show starts right now. And this was a good week to start, too, because it was a lot of, hey, here's what to expect at the pay-per-view type special show tomorrow or next week. So, anyways, let's get into it. Match number 1. And holy crap, what a way to get us back into NXT. Kushida versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream. Woo! I remembered what I loved so much about NXT when I used to watch it all the time. In this first match, it was non-stop, insane pace, just crazy action, and I just love this match.
Yeah, this was probably my favorite match of the night. In terms of just entertaining to watch, man, you don't get much better than this match for an opening for a weekly show. I was a little bit surprised by the results. I honestly thought Ciampa was going to win it, but just because, he's been so big in the NXT for a long time. So when he lost, I was like, wow. Okay. I mean, and isn't Kushida new? Newer?
No, he's been around in NXT for a while.
Oh,
at least
really?
Since I've been watching, yeah. And same with Velveteen Dream. I think when you were watching, he was actually injured.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually. But that's probably why I never really known who that was. But, I mean, to me, he was kind of newer. Because as we were talking about before, he was probably injured when I started watching it.
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, though, I was still relatively surprised because me personally, Ciampa's my favorite probably guy in the UFC. I mean, not UFC.
In
NXT. But, yeah, not saying that really would have changed the match at all, but sucks that Ciampa lost, but good for Kushida,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. This was a good momentum for Kushida moving forward. I don't know really what he's doing right now because, like I said, I haven't been watching the show. But I did know about Kushida. I watched a couple of matches with him. I've always been impressed by him. Ciampa, same thing. Always been impressed by Ciampa from what I've watched. And Velveteen Dream say the same thing, and all I really needed to hear was John Cena made a comment, I think it was either earlier this year or late last year or something like relatively recent, that said he thought Velveteen Dream was going to be the next biggest star in the WWE. Coming from John Cena?
Yeah,
that's pretty high.
Done that.
That's pretty high praise. So that's all I needed to hear to know this dude is for real. But yeah, overall, just great match. What a way to kick off the show. I was like, man, I love NXT, and this just reminded me of exactly why I love it.
Yeah. But to move on to the next match, we got Ember Moon versus Jessi Kamea.
Yeah, and also, you know, I can't remember if it was here, but throughout the night we were seeing different things with the Undisputed Era, and we'll get into what that led up to. But I'm pretty sure after that first match, there was that little thing with all four members, and then Adam Cole was on the screen talking about, right. And I believe that was there. That was an okay segment. I mean, it just promoted what was going to be happening. Era, so, obviously. You know, it's just another one of those. But anyways, Ember Moon versus Jessi Kamea. Once again, haven't been watching NXT for a while. I do know Ember Moon from her time on the main roster. I'm happy to see her back in NXT because, I didn't watch Ember Moon when she was in NXT during her first run because I didn't watch NXT at that time. But I know that she was really high esteemed wrestler in NXT before, and I felt like the main roster, they just totally misused her. They totally screwed over all her momentum and just pretty much buried her time and time again. Totally misused her, and I just thought that was wrong. So yeah. I was really happy to hear she's going back to NXT. Hopefully she can get some shine again. And, you know, in this match, I never heard of Jessi Kamea. So obviously with Ember Moon, this being like her first match back, there was no doubt that Ember was going to win this match.
Yeah, I mean...
and just knowing, I mean, Ember Moon against really anybody just returning, there's no way she's losing.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this kind of reminded me of, like, one of the matches from the pay-per-view we watched. I don't remember which match it was, but there was one that's played out pretty similar to this one.
Was it like the Mojo?
With like a newer wrestler coming out and actually, you know, showing her stuff for a little bit against somebody that was returning her. I don't remember exactly how it played out, but...
Paige?
Yeah, I think it was the
against
Paige
Emma?
match. Yeah.
Emma? Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, either way, though, I mean, it was nothing really to shout about. It was just like, okay, whatever.
There was a couple funny moments, though. Especially the part when, what's her name?
Ember.
Ember was like, yelling something at, Jessi Kamea or whatever her name is. And, Jessica Kamea, or what's her name?
Jessi
Kamea. She basically did. She was like, "Oh yeah, actually it was Ember Moon saying, 'Let me show you how this is done,' and then ends up getting like what's the name of that move?
Suplex?
Not soup. Well, it was like basically she took her arm and then flung her over the top.
Oh, okay.
But that part was pretty funny to me just because. But the same thing ended up playing out later in the match with Jessi doing that same thing and Ember countering on it.
Yeah. I thought what happened after the match was a lot more interesting than the match, with Dakota Kai coming in there and taking Ember out, so to speak. And then just basically telling her, like, hey, you know, I've been in this. And, Dakota Kai, like I said, I haven't been watching NXT. I know Dakota Kai, around the time I stopped watching was relatively shortly after her heel turn was around the time when it was probably like January, February, but anyway, I watched her for a little bit during her heel turn while she was still fighting against Tegan Nox and stuff. But anyway, Dakota Kai, I do know, just recently had a NXT title opportunity not too long ago. So that was awesome to see.
Yeah.
And so she's a legit contender right now, is why I said that. And so I'm really excited to see her take on Ember Moon. I think that's going to be a huge matchup for Ember Moon and for Dakota Kai. I think it's going to be even bigger for Dakota Kai because she's going against a legit dude, or a legit person. I mean, not a dude, obviously, but she's going against a legit contender in Ember Moon. So whoever, especially if Dakota were to win that match, that's going to be a huge booster. I don't think she's going to, but that would be huge if she was to win that match.
The sad thing about Dakota Kai is because before she basically turned on the team at War Games, I was actually quite a big fan of hers, and which sucks because, now I don't really like her that much. I mean, I still like her, but, just not as much as I did before.
he really liked her face character as opposed to her heel.
Yeah, exactly. So. I thought her and Tegan Nox were a really good tag team. Yeah, and they just fit well together.
Yeah.
So, it sucks that broke up.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, that was a pretty entertaining segment. Really excited to see where that feud goes with Ember Moon and Dakota Kai. I think that's going to be great matches.
Speaking of weird things that happen on the show, let's go into the Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed match. This one was quite a story. This is one, though, I was not that big of a fan of. I thought Austin Theory was kind of just a moron out there. Didn't look good. Talked all that crap. Ended up eating his words twice. And then quit afterwards. What an idiot. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, I think he was stupid for even challenging Bronson Reed to a rematch. I mean, I wouldn't want to face that big of a guy twice in a row. I mean, come on. But overall, I mean, this was one of the segments in the show that I was like, okay, this Austin Theory guy needs to go. But I like what they did with Bronson Reed and how they made him look.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. I thought it was a very interesting segment. I'm anxious to see what they do with the Austin Theory thing moving forward. I'm sure he didn't actually quit. I'm sure it's just part of the storyline. So I'm anxious to see what they do with his character moving forward. Maybe he gets a total rework and comes in as a completely different character. Maybe he'll reappear down the line and interfere in a title match or something. I don't know. Maybe he'll move to the main roster. He's already done some time up there with, teaming with Andrade and, what's his name? The other guy that they were stable for a little while there. And so we'll see what ends up happening. But I thought that ending part was interesting. The match itself, it was pretty enjoyable. I thought actually Austin Theory did some great promo work in between the matches when he was like calling out Bronson Reed and stuff. I thought that was really good. And then, so entertaining segment, not the most memorable or anything, but, it was solid. Okay, let's move on to the next match. Legado del Fantasma versus Isaiah Swerve Scott, as well as Ashanti the Adonis and Jake Atlas. Now, once again, haven't watched NXT in a long time. I think maybe I've seen what's his name? Jake Atlas fight once. I know who Isaiah Swerve Scott is, and then when I was watching, the main dude on Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, was still masked. So when I was watching before, he wasn't Santos Escobar. He was still the other guy, El Hijo del Fantasma or whatever. I can't remember what his name was. But anyways, so this whole run is completely new. I've never heard of Ashanti the Adonis. Never heard of him. Jake Atlas, I think maybe I saw him fight once. But apart from that, didn't ring a bell. But overall, though, this was a solid 6-man contest. Pretty action-packed throughout. Yeah. And I really, overall, did enjoy the match. I wasn't surprised at all to see the Legado del Fantasma win the match. I figured that was going to be the case.
Me too, because, just the fact that Legado del Fantasma had a name, and then Swerve Scott and 2 other random guys were going in there and fighting. I usually pick the group that has, that has been together for a long time.
Exactly. And like I said, I thought this was a really good match for what it was, and I just overall enjoyed it. But, not much else to say. Like I said, I'm not really familiar with most of the people in it. And, that's why we're starting now.
Yeah, I enjoyed that match, though. It was good.
All right, moving on to the next one.
Drake Maverick and Killian Dane.
Yeah, Drake Maverick and Killian Dane versus Everrise. Man, this was, like I said, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but we haven't been watching the show, so I don't know how this pairing of Killian Dane and Drake Maverick came about, but this is just great stuff. It was so funny to watch that pairing, especially on their way out to the ring. And they were, Drake Maverick was walking in front of him and doing all these weird dancing things. And Killian Dane was like, man, what the hell are you doing? Then he walked in front of him, and then Drake was doing that weird stuff behind him, and he stopped and turned around. Then he was having a problem with the entrance music. It was just great stuff all around. And then the ending part too, and just the commentary throughout where they're like, Killian Dane might be the only person that's allowed to hit his partner. And then that ending part too, where Drake Maverick, does all this stuff and starts whirling chairs and stuff. And then he's like, oh crap, I just cost the team. And then he looks over and he's like terrified of taking a beating.
Yeah. And then basically what happens is Killian Dane goes up to him and pushes him around, and
then he's like,
he was actually happy about it.
That was the best thing I've seen. Where's that been?
and then Killian Dane leaves the ring, and then Drake Maverick starts dancing again, and it's just a really funny segment overall, but it was really funny. I mean, a good segment.
Yeah, sure. And I like them.
And the match was good.
Yeah, and I like them approaching this with Killian Dane. I mean, I know it seems kind of like a joke right now, but he's fought a lot of those primary guys. Like back when I was watching, he was fighting the Damian Priest. He was fighting the, what's the one guy's name? Dijakovic. And Keith Lee and some of these guys. He'd been fighting them for a while. So it's good to see him kind of out of that picture for a little while. With that being said, I feel like he was a monster, and he could have done well to have held the NXT Championship, or at least the North American title for a bit. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So let's move on, though. Xia Li versus Casey Catanzaro. Now, Xia Li, I do know her. And then Casey Catanzaro, I know that she actually just returned to NXT not too long ago. Because she was out of the company for a while, and then now she's back with the company. This was a kind of a strange match. Again, it's partly because we don't know the storyline, but I guess Xia Li had received a book or something from somebody, or a call or something, and since then she's been acting all weird. And in this,
it was a note.
Yeah, it was a note or something. And in this match, you know, she was putting all this pressure on herself to win,
and ends up losing.
Which I saw coming.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
You know, it was not really much to say about the contest. Afterwards, though, you know, she started, Xia Li attacked Catanzaro, and then Caden Carter, who was in Casey's corner, got in the ring, and Xia started beating her up too. And then out comes Raquel Gonzalez, who I don't know if she's still with Dakota Kai, but for a while when she first came into NXT, she came in as like the muscle for Dakota Kai. And I really felt like, you know, I read some comments and stuff that basically said that, you know, why would you take this opportunity for Xia Li to turn heel right here and just lose it and go crazy, steal her moment just to promote a match that's already scheduled to happen? I feel like that's what they did here. They took something that should have been like, oh wow, that wasn't expected, and they just glossed it over and were like, oh, by the way, let's remember that Raquel Gonzalez is taking on Rhea Ripley. You know, I mean, it's like they didn't even allow for this moment to like set in before they just were like, oh yeah, by the way, here's an important match coming, just to remind you that Xia Li, even after this, is going to remain a middle carder to a jobber.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of that.
I kind of, you know, I want to see what happens with the Xia Li situation, because, you know, who knows what that note said. I mean, if it said, I mean, something bad could be coming her way, and I'm interested to see what happens with it.
Yeah, who knows? Hopefully it results in her getting some form of a push, because she's been kind of hanging around the mid-card to fighting new acquisitions to NXT range, losing those matches. I mean, she just hasn't really done much, so hopefully she can get a push. Or at least when I watched, she really wasn't doing much. So hopefully she can get a push here, and this can result in something other than her just hanging around the mid-card. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next segment. The Thatch as Thatch Can, Timothy Thatcher versus Anthony Green, that whole segment with him doing the wrestling training or whatever. This was great. I loved this segment. I don't know if he's been doing this or what the deal is, but man, this was gold. It was so funny, especially the part when he's got the dude in that arm lock and he's like, you see he's tapping right now and he's still tapping, but if I were to get a little bit more leverage and arch his arm like this, and then he's like, ah, and he starts screaming and stuff. This was hilarious. I loved this segment.
Yeah.
And I loved how he's like, try to take my leg. This was great.
You know what? The part I liked most about it is when, I mean, I would have hated to have been Anthony Green in this segment. Just because, I mean, all he did was take a bunch of punishment, basically for no reason. So, you know, I like that Anthony Green was like, I ain't taking any more of your crap, you know, and we're gonna fight, you know. I like that. And I mean, did it end up in an Anthony Green victory? No. But, you know what? At least he was like, I'm not going to be, just a piece in your puzzle. Basically. You know?
Yeah, no, this was great. Now with that being said, let's move on to the main event. Now, first of all, like we said, there was some different segments with Undisputed Era throughout the night. Basically, what ended up happening was first, Bobby Fish ended up getting taken out backstage. Then, and they said Kyle O'Reilly was going to take his spot.
Yeah.
And then Roderick Strong got laid out backstage. And so basically what ended up happening is their spot for the NXT Tag Team Championship match in the main event was given to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Now, those guys I am familiar with, and they're pretty awesome.
Weren't they on the main roster for a while?
No, I don't think so.
They just look familiar to me.
Am I wrong, or were they part of Imperium at one point? No, I don't think they were.
I don't remember, but they.
No, I'm thinking of
Bartel
and some other guy.
You know who I'm probably thinking of is
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about. Anyways, so they took their place, and yeah, they weren't part of Imperium. I don't know what I was talking about. Anyways, they took their place, ended up fighting against Breezango for the NXT Tag Team Championships. What'd you think of the match and the whole thing?
It was a good match. However, I mean, I'm not one that generally likes matches ending due to interference. So that I wasn't that big of a fan of. But overall it was a good match. So good for, Lynch and Birkin. So even though Fandango pretty much got cheated out of it, so just
Breezango?
Yeah, Breezango.
Yeah, it was a good match. Like you said, it kind of was unfortunate. It ended in a bit of a, interference, not a straight up. I mean, it was a straight up pinfall, but it was after some interference. But, it's okay to have some of that once in a while. And, I really liked this match overall. Very physical contest, some high-flying spots, and just great tag team action. And then, the reveal of it being Pat McAfee, that was the guy that interfered. That was definitely a twist. I know Pat McAfee has been involved in some of the wrestling stuff. I haven't really been watching since he got involved. I know he had a match a little while back. I think he had his first match against somebody. I think maybe it was Adam Cole. I can't remember who it was, but he had his first match as a wrestler against somebody a while back, and I heard good things for the most part for his first match. So, what are they going to do with him moving forward? We'll see. Anxious to see where this goes. Obviously, if he wasn't a heel before, this probably solidified that Pat McAfee is a heel. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. I don't know if they were heels before. It seemed like they had decent amount of positive crowd reaction coming out. It didn't sound like they were booing them. And so I think, this will put them into the heel stable as well, probably. And we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, I don't expect Breezango to go anywhere, though. I think,
I hope they don't, because I
like that team.
Yeah, and I feel like this is they finally won the championship, and then they lost it in their first title defense to some weird storyline circumstances.
You know,
and
it
stuff.
just to me, the part I didn't like about this is that it made Breezango look weak. I mean, to go out there and lose to a team that really didn't even know that they had a match. I mean, to me, that's like, at least let them win once, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. I just really hope that, like you said, you know, the Breezango doesn't go anywhere. They're still able to maybe have another run down the line or something, not just fall into obscurity and be the Everrise team taking on, you know, the weird new combo teams of Killian Dane and Drake Maverick and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I hope they don't just go down to like the mid card, like, you know what you were saying with the one guy earlier. So, we'll see what happens with them, but you know what? I overall did enjoy this show as a whole. So, I look forward to seeing what they have in store for Halloween Havoc next week.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I said, this was a great match to get into it, or a great week to get into it ahead of Halloween Havoc. I've never watched that before. I know they used to do it back in the day, but I haven't watched any of those pay-per-views. So I'm really excited. I think this Shotzi Blackheart being the person that's running it, it's just fitting for her character. And then I think these spin wheel things that they've got going on, deciding different match, deciding different, I'm talking about stipulations is really a cool idea. I don't know if it actually is gonna be scripted or if they really are spinning the wheel. I'm guessing it is going to be scripted, like they already know what it's going to land on before or something, but either way, we don't know, so I'm really excited to see what they do with it, and hopefully, you know, the pay-per-view, I guess you would call it, the Super Show Halloween Havoc comes through and is a pretty exciting show. I'm expecting it to be.
Yeah, as far as probably the match I'm looking most forward to in that is the House of Horrors match, or whoever it is, Anthony Grimes versus
Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron Grimes versus Anthony. Who is it?
You mean Loomis?
Yeah, Anthony Loomis.
Dustin
Loomis versus Anthony Grimes, or
Dexter.
Dexter Loomis versus Anthony Grimes.
No, Cameron
Grimes. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking Anthony, but
yeah, like I said, we're trying to get back into it, guys. So for the first couple weeks, you know, we'll probably say some names wrong and mix up people, and you know, say things like, was these guys part of Imperium and when they weren't, and stuff like that. So, you know, bear with us, but as we keep watching, it'll get better and better. And so with that being said, guys, good show. What would you rate the show on a scale of A to F?
I would give it probably a maybe B-. I think it was solid, but there was a couple sections of it that I think could have been improved.
Yeah, I would say, B. I'd say a B. There was a lot of good matches. There was a couple segments in there that I could take or leave, but the really high quality matches, like the first match, the last match, really improved the quality of it overall. And then also the Thatch Can match thing that he had, that was a great segment that I really enjoyed. And then, you know, the Ember Moon and Dakota Kai, I'm really looking forward to that. So overall, good show, solid show this week. excited to see what comes next week. And yeah. So with that being said, guys, Bryson, Bennett, we'll see you guys in the next review.